Hi, everyone, and welcome to Chefs in Training. This is a program that was initiated by Chep Good Food Incorporated. This program evolved from the Kids Kitchen program that was being run in schools in partnership with the Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools and their foundation. Chefs in Training is designed to help children, youth, and adults develop basic kitchen skills and improve their nutrition knowledge. This is a 5-week program. Each week contains different education and skill building objectives and a culture question. All of these work together to help the following goals: supporting students or youth in acquiring important skills such as food safety, safe food handling, kitchen safety, and food preparation skills; supporting students who are major caregivers for their younger siblings by giving them the opportunity to learn how to cook a variety of nutritious meals; promoting healthy eating and increased awareness of nutrition, enabling students to bring home healthy foods for their family, and exploring the different cultures, especially around food in our community. We hope that you enjoy these sessions.
Good day, everyone. My name is Monica Brescia, and welcome to session 1 of Chefs in Training. Today we're going to be discussing kitchen and knife safety along with hand washing while we make a veggie packed chili. And later on in the session, we're going to be discussing what is culture that you can discuss at home.
Wash your hands. Steps in washing your hands is wet your hands, apply soap, and scrub for at least 15 seconds. You scrub the back of your hands, your wrists, between your fingers, under your fingernails, and the palm of your hands. Then you rinse your hands, dry with paper towel, and use the paper towel to turn off the water. Your next step is to wash your vegetables. It's simply a matter of running them under water, rubbing them with your clean hands, and taking off any excess dirt or germs. The exception to this are mushrooms. Mushrooms need to be washed using a damp cloth or damp paper towel. If you run them under water, they tend to get hard and slimy. For this recipe, you also have to drain and rinse your kidney beans. It is very important that you wash the top of the can before you open it. You don't know what's crawled on there, how much dust is on there, so it's really important that you wipe that down. Once that you have drained your kidney beans, run them underneath the water until the water starts running clear. Next, you're going to use the side of that large knife and push down on the garlic and kind of move it in a paddling motion out into the side and back. You can do this a couple times, and then it helps make the garlic easier to chop up. And then you do it a couple more times, and that way your garlic is now nice and chopped up or pureed, depending on how much you do it. If you're at home and you have a garlic press, please feel free to use that instead. Our next vegetable that we're going to do is going to be our onion. First, we're going to cut the onion in half, leaving the tuft in place so that it will help hold the onion together. Then we peel our onion and we make slices into the onion that is not quite all the way through to the cutting board. This way, it helps hold the onion together and it's much easier to chop. Our next vegetable is going to be the celery. You'll notice that we cut off both ends of the celery. Then we cut it in half and then into those halves into strips. You put the curved side up for the celery. That way it gives your celery a little bit more stability when you're cutting it into strips. And it helps give you nice, even pieces. You will notice that Monica is curling her fingers under so that she doesn't accidentally cut herself with the knife. Next, we're going to prepare our pepper. We're going to cut it in half, and then using a smaller knife, we're going to take out the stem and the seeds. And like the celery, we're going to chop it into small strips. That will make it easier to dice up and give you more uniform sizes. You will notice how with the pepper, she is not lifting the knife completely up off the board. The tip of the knife stays on the board. This is actually called the motion of the ocean for cutting. Okay, next we're going to peel our carrot. If you have really new carrots, all you have to do is scrub them really good. They don't necessarily have to be peeled. We are trying to peel our carrot directly into our compost bowl. Unfortunately, carrot peels seem to go wherever they want to. So just like the celery and the peppers, we're going to cut the carrot in half and then into strips. And then dice those strips. It's very important, especially with carrots, that you keep your fingers curled under. And our last vegetable is the mushrooms. And all you have to do is cut them in half and then chop them into slices. Now we're moving over to the stove. We're going to put a bit of water in the bottom of the pot to help cook the ground beef faster. This is going to be at a medium-high heat, about a number 7 on your stove. And as you can see, the handle is turned away from the edge and a pot holder is always being used. Next, we're going to add our onions and our garlic and let that just simmer a little bit until the onions are nice and soft. Once your ground beef has been cooked and looks nice and brown, you should try, if you have one, to take your meat thermometer and check the temperature. It should be sitting at approximately 74 degrees Celsius. Next, we're going to add all of our chopped vegetables and let that steam for approximately 5 minutes. Or until the vegetables are nice and tender. We're going to add the tomato sauce, our kidney beans, a teaspoon each of oregano, parsley, pepper, and cumin. Once all the ingredients are mixed well together, We're going to let it simmer for approximately 10 minutes on a lower temperature, about a number 5 on your stove. Now we're going to prepare the buns to put the chili in. Using a serrated knife, we're going to cut the top of the bun off, and then we're going to gently pull out the inside of the bun. You don't have to go too deep because you might make a hole in the bottom. And once you get out the inside, you can press the rest of the dough down into the bottom of the bun and to the sides. This way you get rid of the air and the bun does not get as soggy with the chili in it. And last, we're going to prepare our dish for eating. We're going to scoop in some chili into the bun and top it with a tablespoon of sour cream, a tablespoon of salsa, and a tablespoon of cheese. So delicious and smells so great.
Danse, Jordan Morton, White Bear, Ochinia, Saskatoon, Minikwan, Miigwech. Hello, welcome. My name is Jordan. I am from White Bear First Nation, and I'm currently living here in Saskatoon. I am the Indigenous Food Sovereignty Facilitator here for Chep Good Food, and I'm going to be the one kind of asking some questions about culture and providing a bit of context. So let's get right in. Alrighty, so for the first week session here, we're going to be just talking very basically about what is culture. Culture is this funny thing. It's kind of like an atmosphere, or if you were to picture a bubble around a person, it's like water. Like if we were fish, it would be like the water that we swim in. It's just this thing that's always around us. It's both simultaneously incredibly unique to an individual, but also universal in the sense that everybody has culture. Some people don't see themselves as having culture, as if they could be acultural, but this is just not true. And that's kind of like why I mentioned the atmosphere and water portion to begin with, is because if there's this thing that's always around us, you know, the water that we swim in, the air that we breathe, it's hard to see, it's hard to notice what it looks like. And often it's easier for us to notice what it looks like when it's different in other people. Because culture doesn't just include things like language or different clothing or holidays or dancing or things like that, the things that are very obvious for us to see. It also includes things that are harder to see, like values or preferences, and different ways of thinking and seeing the world. You can only learn those things of culture through conversation, through dialogue, and through relation with another person. And through getting to know yourself and your ancestors. You know, culture is a thing that is both passed on, and we kind of evolve it every human being. And yeah, culture is it's changing constantly, and it is completely reflective of the people that are participating in it. And then so kind of going back to the atmosphere analogy, one person's atmosphere might help them thrive entirely, and someone else may come by and try to share in this atmosphere, and it doesn't work very well, or they have to work harder to thrive and to do well, and they might only be able to kind of survive in one culture versus the other. That can be known as something called culture shock. Often people experience that when they travel overseas. So that's a good example of, a good demonstration of the fact that, we all have culture. I think if we were to ask some newcomers when they come to Canada and to North America, if they, think that we have culture, I'm pretty confident that they would say that we do. And then they would be able to tell us immediately what the difference are. But for us that live here, and especially for those who are in more of the mainstream kind of dominant culture, because culture is not just also a personal universal, but it's kind of communal as well. It takes a group of people to make up a culture. And yeah, sometimes the group is just larger, and then there are other smaller groups. So that's when you start to get into things like minorities and things like that. Those cultural differences will begin to show themselves when, like culture groups get together. And cultures can influence one another. No culture is specifically pure or has not been influenced by either another culture or, the land, the very earth that we call home, because that's why we can kind of all understand culture in a sense. Is we all have drawn culture from the same planet, even though the landscape might look differently and it will influence us differently. We're all using the same kind of pieces and tools. They're just arranged differently to make up this thing called culture. And that's all it is. And that's just our working definition. So, yeah.
Can't talk. Sorry. Liquid and dry measuring